We are back with the real episode two. If you count all the breaks in last week's very first episode, it should have been episode one, two, three, and maybe five. I don't know. But we're back. This is the actual week two, episode two of Media Oddities. I'm Chris.
And I'm Zach.
Easy. It's easy when you watch it because it has our names on it. But if
Yeah,
you're listening to the audio, you'd never know.
which we still got to figure that out, but that's for a different time.
It's all good. I'm already feeling better about episode two. Episode one, I was like, it's been so long since I've done a podcast. I was just kind of like, let's figure it out.
Yeah.
Um, but we're back. We're better than ever. And in my opinion, we watched a much better movie this week.
Oh, for sure.
Um, so we watched Bloody Muscle Bodybuilder in Hell. I had to fucking say that 9 times because I kept saying body, like bodybuilder bloody. I can't, I couldn't. I literally had to write it down. The
Yeah, it
title's
is a
fucking too
tongue
long.
twister.
Yeah. Bloody Muscle Bodybuilder in Hell, also known as some people call it the Japanese Evil Dead. We'll talk about that for sure. Um, I literally just finished it. Like this is mid-afternoon on Sunday. I finished it an hour ago. You watched it earlier in the week though?
Last night, yeah.
Yeah. Is it still pretty fresh? Like all
Yeah.
64 minutes of it?
Right. Yeah, I didn't realize it was that short either when I put it on. But
Same. I kept putting it off because I wanted to make sure that I had like 90 minutes to sit down, watch, really kind of like lock in. Um, and then I popped it on today and I was like, oh, it's 64 minutes
yeah.
or like 66, whatever. Um, so short that I don't even think you're allowed to call it a feature film in the contemporary film world. I think you have to have like an 80-minute movie for it to be considered like a feature length film.
Yeah.
Um, So this is 64 minutes. It's the second shortest movie I've ever seen, like that considers itself a self-contained movie, only uh challenged in length by Meet the Spartans, the 300 knockoff. Also
Yeah.
like 60 minutes. Um, so interesting. Japanese Evil Dead. That's what people say. Um, do you want to talk about it a little bit and then give it a rating, or do you want to drop a rating on it right up front and then justify it?
We can talk about it first, then rating. That
Yeah.
works.
Um, in a nutshell, would you say you enjoyed all 60 some odd minutes of it? What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed it for sure.
Have you done any had you taken a look at the kind of the background of why no one had ever heard of this movie until like 10, 15 years ago?
Not really. Yeah, like
So it
no, I never heard anything about it until they started these releases.
Yeah, I honestly I bought it blind off of a shelf in a record store. I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." And like the header was like Japanese Evil Dead, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds sick." Um and then I like flipped over on the back and I was like, "That does look a lot like Evil Dead," which is, like everyone else that says they really like movies, Evil Dead is one of my favorite franchises of all time. Even the bad ones are good in my opinion.
Yep.
Um so I'm like Japanese Evil Dead, I'm in. Somehow I was reading the back, did not see that it was 64 minutes. I was like, this
Same.
is a movie, 2 hour long movie. Um, it was shot in 1995, which, yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah.
I would even argue that it looks like it's from before 1995.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Um, but it was shot in 95, and I guess for whatever reason, it wasn't ever released in its entirety in full until like the mid to late 2000s. Um, they people will say like that it was lost. But like in my mind, like just because something was shot and never released doesn't always mean lost. Like sometimes you just don't want to release it. No one knows if that's the story, but at least I don't know. But
Yeah.
it wasn't actually released on like Japan home video until 2012.
Yeah.
Um, it's a long time to sit on a movie. And then the releases that we have the Visual Vengeance release was what, like a year or two ago.
Yeah.
So this movie, I mean, it's we're literally in 2025 right now, so we're talking 30 years later. Um, if I had to guess, I would have said like it was made in the late 80s, even though some of the like the wardrobe doesn't match that. Like they're definitely dressed like people in the mid 90s.
Yeah.
Jeans, collared shirt, shit like that. The classics. Um, would you say that this is considering also like Evil Dead at that point, Evil Dead 1, Evil Dead 2 had come out. Um, I'm for somebody who really loves the franchise, I don't recall when Army of Darkness came out. It was like 96, 97 maybe. Do you remember off the top of your head?
I want to say 96, 97.
So by the time this movie's made, like Evil Dead is already massive. The people that care about that franchise, care about this genre, have seen it. Um,
92.
oh, okay. So, I mean, Army of Darkness doesn't necessarily play into this specifically, but at the point that Army of Darkness had been released, I mean, we were at like the pinnacle of Evil Dead for the foreseeable future. Um, God, 92. It seems more recent than that, but
Yeah.
I've also just seen them so many times, it's like they all blur together. Like I'm like, I don't remember when this came out. I was three. Um, so the director of Bloody Muscle Bodybuilder in Hell, I'm gonna get better at saying it faster and snappier. Um, his name is Shinichi Fukazawa, and what's unique about this is he was the director, the writer, the primary actor. He basically did it all. He's like there's like four people in this movie,
Yeah.
um, and he was most of it. Um, so a true like singular labor of love. Like, uh, we don't really know that much about the process of him making it. I haven't had the opportunity to watch some of the extras on the movie yet because I literally just watched it. But um, this dude definitely obviously loved Evil Dead. It's so clear.
Oh yeah.
Um, Were there any moments in the film that you remember that struck you as like, yeah, this dude literally lifted this from the Evil Dead franchise? There were a few that hit, and I was like, well, yeah, okay, obviously,
Yeah. Probably the first time they like come out uh, of everything. Just the way they look too.
yeah, visually. Um, there's, I was watching it, but I was also like trying to finish my lunch because I was like, I really want to get this episode in done today. Um, and I'm watching it, and the main character hits us with just like he's like groovy and it's just out of nowhere. Like,
Yeah, and they kept
and
being
I
like, sayonara, baby.
yes. I was like the actual like the quips that he was dropping, it was like it is definitely Evil Dead, Sayonara Baby, groovy, which is like you cannot say the word groovy in a horror film or an action film or a dark comedy and not have it at least feel like it's supposed to be a reference to the Evil Dead franchise. Like, why else would you say it? But at one point he says, "Come get some," which to me always registers as Duke Nukem. Um,
Yeah.
I was like, but Duke Nukem also lifted stuff from Evil Dead, so maybe "Come Get Some" is from Evil Dead. I should know if it is, but I don't remember. Um, at one point he ends the like near the end of the movie, he's using the shotgun, which and again, it's the same thing. Anytime someone's using a double-barreled shotgun from 90 and on, I'm like, that's Evil Dead. I mean, it's not the only franchise to use a shotgun, but a zombie or possession film that uses a shotgun is a definite reference to
Yeah.
Evil Dead.
I was waiting for
He's
the boomstick line, but
he says he hits him with the "See you in hell, baby," and but he says that one like some of the lines are in English, like I don't speak Japanese, at least not enough to know, but like is do people use like sayonara baby, like is the baby always English? Is it like is there another version of it where you don't say it that way? Um, but yeah, my dude is just it's like he had like a sheet of like what's some badass stuff that I can say. Um, because there's almost no exposition in this film, like very little, like
Yeah.
60 minutes, maybe 4 minutes worth of like this is what's going on. The rest is like we got to kill him, baby. Like I don't know. Um, were you were you disappointed at all that we didn't see more of his muscles, that we had to wait till like the final 5 minutes or 10 minutes for him to like get shredded?
Yeah, a little bit.
Like if you're gonna be a bloody muscle bodybuilder in hell, um, the movie like when it cuts to him, the main character for the first time, he's like pumping in his apartment. He's like ripping like the 25 kilo. He's like he's toned. He's a muscular dude, like a lot more muscular than I am for sure. But then later, when he's effectively out of options in the house to stop this demonic possession, like he's used like every piece of the house he can. I think at that point he's already used the shotgun a little bit. There's like a knife in play, whatever. And he's just racking his brain. He's like, how am I supposed to stop these fucking possessed evil people? And the voice of his dad is like, use your muscles, son. You've always been strong.
Yeah.
And it's like he's got like a double barrel shotgun with seemingly infinite shells because dude is
Oh,
always
yeah.
reloading. And at some point he's loading like two at a time, but then he's popping off like nine shots. I'm like, what are you doing? Um, but the voice tells him that he's a buff young man, he's a strong boy, and that he should use his muscles. And he goes, you could either classify it as going like Hulk mode. To me, it was like almost Super Saiyan.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
when he comes out, he looks like Trunks with a
yes,
sword.
yeah. He's like he flexes his biceps so hard that like it rips like at the seams and like the arm protrudes out. And he's so shred like he for I mean I don't this guy's not that big, but like for a dude of his stature, he is pretty like toned up. I wouldn't say like bodybuilder to me is like disgustingly huge, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah. but
but like in the 90s where like you have limited um maybe Japan had limited access to anabolic steroids. I don't know. But he was definitely toned, but I think toned like bloody muscle toned body doesn't work as well.
Yeah.
Um but he goes like full Super Saiyan, shreds his clothes. He's just in the fucking he's in his jeans, his 90s, Levi jeans, no shirt. And he hits the poses where you're like showing your like your tries, and he's like puffing his chest out and hitting the side pose like, like fucking Mr. Olympia or whatever, but 10 minutes later he has a tank top on. Where the fuck does the tank top come from? Did you see him put a tank top on?
No.
And he definitely did not have one on when his clothes ripped off.
Yeah.
Do you think that his dad, who had died, I think like 20 or 30 years before, um, do you think that with the shotgun, so I'll back up and I'll say, do you think that the dad left the all black tank top, or that do you think he did because he stores his weights there, even though it didn't seem like he worked out there? It seemed like he stored them there because he was talking about using it as a weight room in the future. Do you
Yeah.
think he just had a spare tight ass black tank top on him?
Yeah, he probably had it there, but his dad gave it to him,
Yeah.
you know?
That's that's why when the dad and he channeled his voice, he's like, "You are very strong. You're a strong young man." He shreds his clothes. His dad's like, "Don't forget the wife beater. You have to put that
Yeah.
on."
It helps
He's
tone.
like, he's like, the black on your skin will really make your veins pop, dude. You're gonna look shredded. He's like, in 30 years when we're talking about this movie, this is inside, this is meta, it's inside the movie. When he's like 30 years from now, when people finally see this movie, they're gonna think two things. One, you look like Trunks from Dragon Ball Z. And two, where'd you get that sick ass tank top? So I mean, in a nutshell, yeah, dude was shredded, had a sick tank top. Um, the thing that I did like about it, really like about it, is once he unlocked the power of his being fucking ripped, they really leaned into using the weights for everything.
Yeah.
Um, he like 360 spins the fucking like 80-pound barbell. Um, he's like throwing weights at people. Um, so I'm trying to think of all the weapons that have been used in the Evil Dead franchise, and I'm like, you've got shotguns, you've got your iterations of knives, butcher cleavers, things like that. You've got the like fucking meat carver from the 2012 Evil Dead or whatever. Um, and then you have weights. Where do you rank a barbell and some free weights in the pantheon of Evil Dead related weapons? Is it near the top? Is it near the bottom? What do you think?
Gotta be near the top. There's some pretty good kills in there. Well, I wouldn't say kills at that point, but it's a pretty good gore.
Super gore. Like, and to your point, yeah, the limited cast, he couldn't afford to kill anybody really. So
Yeah.
the only person that like dies, for lack of a like better term, is to set the story that his dad and his dad's partner, which sets the whole thing in motion. Um, and then they definitely kill Homeboy, the psychic, like with 30 minutes to go. He's like, "This is my movie, dude. You're done." Like,
Yeah.
he's like, "I can't have another toned 30-year-old male in this movie, my guy.
Yeah.
You're fucking out."
Just use paper mache for the rest of it.
Yeah. Paper mache and like the scenes when they are fighting at the end, especially when like he's hit the fucking demon with the weights like 50 times and they're all mangled. The hands, they're like obviously they're fake hands, but it alternates between like fake plastic body parts that you're like, oh, that's fake, but it's funny, to like the paper mache plasticky fucking like you're like, what is this, dude? Who made
Yeah.
this? You're like, no budget? I still can make a better looking hand than like a cardboard cutout with like white out fingernails on it that are like don't even match. Like,
Yeah.
um,
Or someone just like this.
yeah, yeah. At one point, they have like the fake plastic head with like a hand coming out of where the spine would come out of. I'm like, that looked fun and interesting, and then it cuts to like the fucking mangled body, and it's just like it's so jarring. You know, it's easy to dunk on a low budget movie, but it's so jarring shot from shot sometimes where it's like this is a plastic head. Now this is like a paper mache head. Now this is someone's real head that they've put through a wall. Like
Yeah.
there's like no continuity in what's being used. It just whatever the scene called for, they're like, fuck it, paper mache him. Um,
But it works.
it works. It's 60 minutes, man. Like I said, like it's, if you're only picking on movies that look bad because they didn't have money, that's too easy. I don't think that I could have done a better job, especially not in 1995. I was six. Um, but a 6-year-old Chris could probably paper mache the fuck out of something. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's easy to look at Evil Dead. I use the word clone loosely just because I don't think there's a better term for it when movies are specifically built to reference the Evil Dead franchise, but it's easy to look at them and be like, well, they're never going to be as good as the originals, but it's also easy to forget sometimes that the first Evil Dead is fucking awful. It's good, but it's fucking terrible. Um, if they hadn't basically redone it in an infinitely better way in Evil Dead 2, who knows what would have happened? If Evil Dead 1 was self-contained like this movie is, like we may not look at it as fondly as we do,
Yeah.
you know. Um, Evil Dead's obviously more fleshed out and has more than 60 minutes to it, that's for sure. Um, but yeah, I think like it's easy to shit on movies that are cheaply made. And I love to do it, genuinely love to do it sometimes when I look at a movie and I'm like, that was fun, but that movie was made like dog shit. Um, but I think this movie escapes that. It's funny enough, it's weird enough. It uses all of the tropes that exist within the greater Evil Dead franchise and also beyond that, movies that fall into that same category of film, like stop motion, buckets of blood, all that shit. It does a good job. And I think
Yeah.
it's worth a watch.
Yeah, for sure.
You are I've already seen it because I follow you on Letterboxd, obviously, but um what are you calling it? Let's say out of five, just to keep it simple. What are you dropping out of five for Bloody Muscle Bodybuilder in Hell?
I gave it a solid 3. Could have been better, but for what it was pretty good.
Yeah, big three. It's big three energy, I think. I'm also gonna call it a three. When you scale out of five, it's difficult because sometimes movies are so enjoyable, but they're not good movies.
Yeah.
Um, and I think like when you rate out of 10, you have more leeway. You could say like something's a seven where you're like, I really enjoyed it. Would I recommend it? Maybe, but it was kind of shitty. And like a seven still feels appropriate, but giving this a two or a four does not make sense because two to me is like on the edge of like, you should not watch this.
Yeah.
And a four is like, this is a half star away from Interstellar. So that also does not make sense. Um, I think a three, but the gap between 2.5 to 3.5 is like 2.5 could be something that I'm like, I'm gonna sell this the second I'm done watching it.
Yeah.
And a 3.5 could be like, Jesus Christ, this is the greatest movie I've seen this year, you know? So
Yeah, yeah.
so out of five ratings, tough, dude. Um, off the top of your head, this is tough because I'm gonna run off the dome, but there are lots of movies that do the Evil Dead tropes either intentionally, unintentionally, as like a subtle nod, or just like a full on like, you like Evil Dead, you're gonna like this. Are there any movies off the top of your head that you could pull that are Evil Dead? Again, I'll use the word clones lightly. That you're still really fond of. The one that I'll throw out there while because I put you on the spot is obviously Cabin in the Woods is like the most obvious intentional nod to
Yeah.
the Evil Dead
That's the
franchise
first
of all
thing I thought
time.
of.
Which Cabin in the Woods is insane. It's incredible. It's one of my favorite movies in the horror comedy kind of genre that they all sit on. Um, I also haven't seen it recently. It's probably been about 5 years since I've watched it.
Yeah, same. I'd,
Um,
I'd say this is up there now for sure.
oh yeah. Um, and honestly, actually, something you know, anyone that watches this or listens to it, maybe friends of ours or people in the sphere, like if you already own it, you already know. But um, the actual content that came, like all the physical stuff that came with the Blu-ray is actually insane. Um,
Yeah.
I have my copy somewhere. I set it down before I got in here, but it comes with like I think it comes with a poster, it comes with like a fake, like old retro like video card like you'd get for like Hollywood Video or whatever, Blockbuster. Um, the movie itself has a ton of extra features on it that I want to get around to watching, a couple of commentaries, outtakes, what have you. But so like the packaging is insane. It's totally worth physically owning it.
Oh,
I would
yeah,
recommend buying it.
definitely.
Um, and if you don't want to buy it, I think you can watch it on Shudder. The last time I was subscribed to Shudder, it was there, but
Yeah. I think it's on Tubi too.
oh shit,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
One of eight things on Tubi that you can watch. Um, at one point, it might have been on Prime, but that might have been because I was subscribing to Shudder through Prime. I don't know. All my
Oh,
shit's through
yeah.
Prime these days, but highly recommend anyone watch it. But if you're a physical media collector, I think the extras make it worth um, owning. And dude, as not to switch gears because we were talking about Evil Dead clones, but in the last 2 months of our lives, dude, like major corporations have announced that like, oh, we're pulling movies off, we're not streaming this anymore. Uh, like it's never been better. It's never been a better time than now to start buying shit because there are times I want to watch a movie and my only recourse is to pay $20 to buy a digital copy of it. That's fucking insane.
Yeah, fuck that.
Unrelated, I'm going to talk about how hard it was for me to watch the fucking Fast and Furious franchise streaming. Jesus Christ. Not an Evil Dead clone. I wish it was. Like one, two, three, four, five, easy. So simple to find. Six, easy. Seven and eight, dude, I went like it was fucking impossible. Um, the first six I think are on Netflix. Nine and ten or nine and ten are on like fucking Peacock, but seven and eight do not exist anywhere for streaming. Like you can
Hmm.
buy them, plenty. Like you can buy it for sure, and that's what I ended up doing. I had to buy it through like fucking Apple TV so that it wasn't $12 a movie. Um, but watching Fast and Furious 7 and 8 was like it was almost easier for me to just buy the box set on fucking Amazon for like $45. I was like this close. I was so mad. Um,
Yeah.
but anyways, back to Evil Dead clones. I could talk about the Fast and dude. I mean, Fast and Furious doesn't deserve a bad movie rep, but some of those movies are fucking bad.
Yeah.
Um, we'll do a 10-part series with an 11 coming soon where it's the fucking Fast franchise plus Hobbs versus Shaw. Um, but other Evil Dead clones that I think of fondly are God. I mean, do you remember Dead Snow? The
Yeah.
zombie movie? Yeah, like the fucking Nazi zombie movie. Um, Similar premise. I think these kids are going up to they're hiking up to a cabin, and at one point, I think someone in the movie actually references like, "Hey, if you go to a cabin in the remote middle of nowhere, that's where you die," some shit like that, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Well, you might die." Um, and then they buy I think they buy Tesla stock and awaken the fucking zombies. Um, this, the guy goes up there. He's on his fucking his satellite phone. He's putting in an order with his broker to buy some. He's like, buy all of the Tesla stock you can. That right there sends a ripple effect out where the zombies wake up. They're pissed off. They haven't been holding Tesla stock since 1946, but they are Nazis, so they are feeling good about it. Um, I'm trying to think some other Evil Dead clones that I really love. The Demons franchise, and I use again franchise lightly. There's only a couple of them. The movies themselves are not Evil Dead clones, but the effects are so tightly like they're the same. It's like the same shit. Gore, bright colors, tons like all of that. Have you seen Demons?
I haven't actually.
Oh man.
I own them.
Um
I haven't watched them yet.
you're like I own them somewhere. Um I highly recommend. It's actually when I watched Evil Dead Rise, which is the most recent Evil Dead, to me it was like we've gone totally like in a fucking circle. Like you have Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, Demons is also from that era. Demons copies a lot of what was big in Evil Dead in terms of like the visual look and the awakening of like these fucking zombies, for lack of a better word. But then the first movie takes place in a movie theater, sick as fuck. The second one takes place in a high rise, like condo, but that's also where Evil Dead Rise takes place, is in like that apartment building, you
Yeah.
know? So like when I saw Evil Dead Rise, to me, I was like, holy shit, this is them intentionally or unintentionally riffing off of Demons, which riffs off of Evil Dead. It's very, very cyclical. Um, but yeah, Demons 1 and Demons 2, I was fortunate to track down the 4Ks before they got like crazy expensive. Um, you're probably still out there somewhere for a reasonable price, but highly recommend. Holy shit. I don't want to say too much more, but the first one is one of my favorite movies of all time, I think.
Yeah. They've been sitting on the shelf for a while, but I'll get to them.
Yeah. If you how totally unrelated, how do you organize your movies? Do you do by label? Do you do alphabetical? How do you do it?
Uh, most by label, and then I have like a martial arts section, horror section by alphabetical.
Yeah. Um I was too busy watching Hong Kong cop movies this week to get around to watching the movies I was supposed to watch. I also saw that you were watching martial arts movies this week on
Yeah.
Letterboxd. I just thought there's something about February. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna clear out some of these, 80s buddy cop films I've been sitting on for two
Yeah.
years.
I realized last month people do January, Jackie
Yeah.
Chan. I'm like, damn, should have done that.
Yeah. Uh, and in the words of fuck. God, what is his name? Is it David? John David Washington? Isn't that David John? Denzel's son?
Yeah.
Is it is it John David Washington? If it is, respect. I'm gonna look it up before I misquote the man because he's a fucking insane actor. Um, Tell me I got it right though. Oh, I did. Thank you, John David Washington. Um, in that fucking Criterion closet session with him, and he's like, that Jackie Chan box set though, you know? I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I own it too. It's fucking sick. Um, Usually people go into the Criterion closet and they pick out movies that I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. I like Francis Ha too, but I'm not gonna watch it ever again.
Yeah.
Uh, but when somebody pulls out like Jackie Chan though,
Yeah.
you're my kind of guy. Suddenly Tenet was a good movie. Um, so if we missed January, I actually did not know that January was a thing. I wish that I had. Um, I also, there's a certain element of January that you have to be mindful of. I cannot go around and say shit like that too much. Like, I'm cognizant of what would happen if I started saying, yeah, I'm doing January, where I just watch Jackie Chan Asian films all month. If you say it too many times, it gets weird. It's like a one and done. I'm doing January. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Um, unrelated to January, because I didn't know it was a thing. I was trying to think of a theme for February, because if I theme my months, I will do better than if I'm just watching like whatever the fuck comes up. And I pitched physical February, but February with a PH. Because I need to watch some movies that I fucking own, my dude.
Yeah. Same.
Be some Jackie Chan, probably gonna be some Jackie Chan. Probably also gonna be a lot of other shit that I'm gonna buy and be like, that's going in the sell pile. Um, are you theming your February at all? Are you just running wild or anything on the list?
Nothing really on the list. Still going through that top 250 letterboxed. That's gonna take a
Yeah.
while. But yeah, nothing themed for February.
Let's think forward thinking. By the time we recorded this episode, we're a few days into February. By the time someone listens to it, we might be a week into it. By the time I listen to it again, we'll be halfway through Feb. I'm trying to think for March. See, March to me should be like martial arts
Yeah.
movies. Um,
Yeah, we can do that.
Martial arts. The stipulation is no Jackie Chan. That's
Yeah.
January. Martial arts has to be Jackie Chan free. Um, which sucks because I started watching movies that are classified as martial arts movies last night, so now I have to push them off. So we've got martial arts. We're gonna run this down. April, uh, April. I'm trying to think of a pun off of April that's relevant to movies. I got it, dude. They have to be on Blu-ray because it's Blu-April. I don't like the way that sounded at all. Fucking for for the people out there that are listening, I apologize for Blue April. I did not think it was gonna sound like that when I said it. Um, I think we're gonna skip April in solidarity of whatever the fuck I just said. Uh, May's got to be easy. If we got martial arts, January, physical
You can,
February,
so you can do the same thing. Blue May.
Blue May.
That sounds a little better.
Yeah, yeah. April is just April. Have fun, watch movies, be nice to each other. Blue May. Um, you have to own it on Blu-ray or it has to exist on Blu-ray somewhere. Um, this is getting easier. June. Um, movies that contain show tunes, so show Junes. Yeah, all right. June is musical month. Show Junes. I don't like the way that sounds either. What the fuck? There's a reason why the letterbox social media people don't name every month. It's fucked up. Show Junes. Um, July's got to be simpler. Uh, just so scared of saying something that's not mean or fucked up, but it sounds fucked up.
Gonna get canceled already.
I know. Episode 2 is just the episode where I don't know what he was saying, but it didn't sound cool. So let's not do that. Um, I don't know. We'll circle back to it. I think I'm gonna need to run some of these by our editor, which is my wife, because if I said some shit like Blue April, she would probably just stop and then she'd be like, "Do you feel good about that?" I'm like, "I don't feel good about that, and I'm sorry." Um, I'll have a I'll bring the ones that are good and safe, and then we'll have an extra list that'll be, you know,
Yeah.
you can't do that one, but it'll be fun. So we'll start from July on next episode. I don't, I'm so scared right now. I'm fucking scared. Um, there's probably somebody out there who heard April and fist pumped. Let's go. I don't
Yeah.
like it. I don't like it. Um, so yeah. So I'll pause on the months till I have time to think about it safely and securely in the comfort of my home before I say something out loud that I don't realize I'm about to say. Um, if I'm not mistaken, we picked this movie that we watched for this one at the tail end of the last episode. Is there anything going forward that you think you would like to watch? Do you have a pick for next time? I might have some, but I didn't know if you had any you wanted to mull over
Yeah.
before we make any decisions.
Let's see what you got. I think I brought up this one, so
Yeah, you definitely did. It was great though because let's see if I can name it without looking at it. Bloody Muscle Bodybuilder in Hell. Is that it?
yeah.
Let's go. Fuck. I'm so proud of myself right now. Um, that one we happen to both own, so it's like easy, done. Um, and we've taken two vastly different experiences in hand already. We've had one movie where like Grizzly Rage is funny to me. I don't know why I keep watching it. I don't. I've had enough. I could I could watch a million movies, and if you ask me, could you describe the plot of Grizzly Rage? That shit is ingrained in my memory. Um, um, and then this one, we took a movie that seemed like it would obviously be in both of our interests and up our alley, and something that we were both had expressed interest in. I mean, I had already bought it. Like I knew I wanted to watch it, and it ended up being good. Which goes to show that media oddities don't have to be bad.
Yeah.
Sometimes they can just be weird as fuck.
Weird is good
Weird is good.
sometimes.
Yeah. I think most movies that I leave and I'm like, well, that was weird. I usually have fond feelings for after the fact. But there have been times when I've walked out of the theater and I'm just like, what the fuck did I just watch? That was so weird. Um, I think the last time I felt that way was, um, God, I actually I'm gonna go on record. I say that I didn't like this movie. A lot of people did. What was it? Crimes of the Future? Crimes of the Past? What
Yeah.
was it?
Crimes of the future.
Yeah. I fucking hated that movie. I think I might have been alone. Everyone else was like, this movie was the greatest movie I've ever seen. I'm like, I fucking hated it.
I was indifferent. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it.
I'll never watch it again. But I just lied. I thought of something else that I watched and I walked out of the theater and I was like, that sucked. I'm also gonna get dunked on for this at some point. I fucking hated Infinity Pool also. Um,
Didn't see it.
oh, exactly. You watch so many movies. You didn't see it. That says everything you need to know about it. I fucking hated it. Um, and it already got like six different special edition releases, limited edition box sets for. I'm like, so somebody out there likes it. It's not me. Um, so back to what I think we should watch next. Um, I'm going off the dome. I'm actually thinking about things that I physically own because I want to make this as simple as possible. I don't want to get stuck into a Fast and Furious situation again where I'm paying $8.99
Yeah,
for a
that
48
should be
hour
a
fucking
stipulation for our picks. One of us has to own it.
yeah. And if and if not, it's owned by Universal, which makes things impossible to find and own. Um, I think I want to do. I'm also want to make sure that the films that I'm talking about are not like I don't want to like do like a random poll and be like, yeah, that's weird, and then go to watch it and be like, oh, this is a universally beloved film that everyone else in the world has seen, and I'm the only person that hasn't seen this before. Um, I have so many. I'm really in love with Radiance releases right now. They either put out like Italian noir, Japanese yakuza, Japanese drama. Um, it's not weird stuff necessarily, but there's probably some shit that is weird in there. Um, I don't know if any of the Radiance releases would be odd though. What about? I'm just trying to think about what I own. There's too much. I'm looking at your collection and I'm like I'm staring so hard to see if there's a um I mean, we could do any of the I mean, do you have any of the um what do you still buy a lot of Vinegar Syndrome stuff? Because I don't.
Yeah, I got the subscription again. I don't know why, but
Uh oh
the
God.
the resale value, that's what keeps me buying it probably. And they're re
Absolutely.
releasing more Hong Kong stuff, so
Yeah, they did they have a couple movies that I'm like, okay, I'd like to watch this at some point. Um I'm actually looking at the Vinegar Syndrome website to see what's the weirdest thing that I own that I think you also probably own because you probably have more than I do. I have a tendency to sell them almost immediately. Um, oh man, I don't want to do Devil Story, even though that seems like such an obvious choice. Um, did you get any of the? Wow, I haven't bought anything from their website in a long time, apparently. Uh, I'm all the way through like the tail end, middle of last year. Didn't buy any of them. What about? I don't remember. I don't think Vinegar Syndrome put this out. Maybe they did. Um, have you seen Alien from LA already? Have you seen it yet?
I haven't watched it yet, no, but I have it.
Done.
To,
I have watched it before, but I watched it like passively while I was doing other stuff, so I could not tell you much about it. Do you want to lock in Alien from LA, which I know that I own? You want to run that one? Do you have it?
I do.
Done. We picked it. And I know that it's odd because when I remember I rated it after watching it passively on Letterboxd, I was like, these reviews are all over the fucking place. So, episode three, we'll do Alien from LA, um, another classic, strange movie. Well, a pair of three-star ratings for Bloody Muscle Bodybuilder from
Yeah.
in hell. And I always want to say from hell, and I'm trying to not say from hell, and it keeps fucking me up. It's in hell. From hell would be a different movie. Um, Yeah, pair of threes. We both gave Grizzly Rage a decent rating. I'm looking for, I wonder how far we'll have to go before one of us cracks 4 stars on one of these movies. I know it's not Alien from LA because even though I only watched it kind of half paying attention, it was not 4 stars.
Yeah, I can already tell that's definitely not.
We're, this podcast is just going to evolve into us giving everything 3 stars because we're reluctant to call a movie like 1 star trash, but if they're not good movies, it's like, what did you give it? Three stars. Um, I want to actually pull up my letterbox real quick and see what I wrote about it. Um, I remember that other people that I talked to after seeing it really enjoyed it. I did not. And I think
Yeah,
there's a couple of reasons why people enjoy it.
seems like a love it or hate it kind of thing.
I dunked on this fucking movie. I gave it 1.5 stars, but I also did that. Um, oh my God. I gave it 1.5 stars almost 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Like it was like September 21, so like 3.5 years ago. I thought I watched it last year. I don't know what the fuck I've been up to. Um, all right. So we'll reconvene with episode 3, Alien from LA. Is it still a 1.5? You'll have to tune in to find out. And in the words of Bloody Body Butt Builder Muscle in Hell, can't do it. Uh, sayonara, baby.